Hello, world and universe. Welcome to the Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth. And if you're new to the channel, please hit that like and subscribe button. And for my continued followers, I want to say thank you. And this is an opinion-based video channel where I try to share interesting commentary, sometimes true crime, and other ancillary issues that are taking place throughout our country and our world. And I hope you find this information informative. So, when we talk about defunding the police and policing ourselves and these not-for-profit, nonviolent organizations to see how they're doing, I'm not necessarily completely in favor of that. I think we need strong police force, positive police officers to ensure our public safety throughout our country so we won't have civil unrest. And I got to give you this one straight out of Houston as a prime example of the low numbers of individuals joining the police force and or the high numbers of police officers that are leaving the police force. It is definitely one of the most stressful jobs to ever have. You walk out of the door going to work and you don't know if you're coming home. We're living in very violent times today, and we need to ensure that our public safety is at the top of the heat for the health of our society. And I got to give to you one. This is one coming straight out of Houston, Texas, where the Houston police chief apologizes for department not investigating over 264,000 cases due to staffing issues. That's right, 264,000. Here we go. Houston's police chief pledged on Thursday to restore public trust in his department following revelations that more than 264,000 cases, including over 4,000 involving SA, were dropped in the past 8 years due to lack of personnel. Last month, Chief Troy Finner announced that hundreds of thousands of incidents reports, including some for SA and property crimes, were never submitted for investigation as officers assigned them an internal code that cited a lack of available personnel. The figure represents about 10% of the 2.8 million incident reports filed in the past 8 years. He said, "I apologize to victims, their families, our citizens for the use of the code for SA incidents and other violent crimes against persons," Finner said at a Thursday news conference. "This is not the trauma-informed, victim-centric services they deserve. Again, this code should have never been used and will never be used again." Finner's new news conference took place a day after Mayor John Whitmire announced that he will appoint an independent panel to review public handling of the dropped cases, saying the public wants answers and accountability. How can something like that exist? Talking about the code. "I'm shocked by it. It's unacceptable," Whitmire said. The internal code, part of the department's record management system, was created in 2016, years before Finner became chief in April of 2021. It was used in the two administrations that preceded him. Finner said he first found out that officers were using the code in November 2021 and gave an order for it to stop. But then he learned on February 7th of this year that it was still being used to dismiss a significant number of adult SA cases. An internal affairs investigation is reviewing why the order to stop using the code was not followed and how the code's use first came about in the very beginning, Finner said. Two assistant chiefs have already been demoted over their roles in the matter, citing the ongoing investigation. Finner declined to comment on whether more personnel could face disciplinary action. He said his department's top priority has been reaching out to people who filed the more than 4,000 SA reports that were suspended. At least 32 officers have been assigned to review those cases, contact people, and conduct follow-up interviews. More than 3,000 of those cases have been reviewed so far, and 133 victims interviews have been scheduled. Police have also been working to contact people who filed family violence incidents reports, Fenner said. Also suspended were 109,000 reports filed with the Major Assault Division and 91,000 in property and financial crimes, and 6,537 reports filed with the Homicide Division were dismissed, but most of those were related to claims of assaults and threats, Fenner said. Police departments around the country are facing an increasingly urgent staffing crisis, as many younger officers are resigning, older officers are retiring, and applications to fill the vacancies have plummeted, according to an August report by the Police Executive Research Forum, a Washington-based think tank. Houston is no exception. Fenner said the department, which has about 5,200 officers, needs 2,000 more to be sufficiently staffed. Still, he added, that's not an excuse for the dismissal of hundreds of thousands of cases. What has happened since 2016 is not acceptable. HPD as a department owns it, and I am committed as chief to making sure that we fix it, Fenner said. I think this is a very interesting article because, as I said, you had Black Lives Matter trying to defund the police. They've had a defunding of police taking place in Oakland, and it has the crimes that are being committed in Oakland have completely decimated the city, and now they want the mayor removed. San Francisco, you can steal up to $950 a day without being detained and or arrested. LA County has a cashless bail system where people who commit minor infractions can get out under their own recognizance and come back to court at a later date, which you know they're not going to show up for. The state of Illinois has enacted a SAFE-T Act, which is a cashless bond system throughout the entire state. Chicago is down 1,000 officers. Shoplifting, looting, gun violence is at an all-time premium, and gang violence. Same way in the state of California. The state of New York had over 2,800 officers last year either retire or leave the force, either before retirement or took retirement. They're down almost 3,000 officers. And the liberal laws that are being enacted there are letting people cause mayhem and chaos throughout New York City, along with their migrant crisis, just like Chicago. New York even has a guy who's been arrested over 100 times in less than a year and has gotten out every time on his own recognizance for shoplifting. 100 times. Now, you have Houston, which is the third biggest city, sometimes it's Chicago, third and fourth. And Houston is down 2,800 police officers. What is this going to do to our public safety? Governor Landry in the state of Louisiana called for a state of emergency because he said across their state they're down almost 3,000 cops. We're seeing an underbelly and a narrative that's taking place throughout our major cities in many of our states where shoplifting, looting, gun violence, property damage, assaults are going through the roof. And so the number of crimes are increasing while the number of policing and police officers are decreasing. Here in St. Louis, Missouri, in the metropolitan area, we're down about 550 police officers. And they had a backlog of over 1,000 cases under the previous St. Louis City Circuit Court attorney, Kim Gardner, who was decimating the St. Louis City legal system. They were backlogged 1,000 cases. Even murder cases were being dropped because they did not have the manpower, or she did not have them reviewing the cases in an appropriate manner to bring those murder cases and assaults to the court. She has recently been removed. Public safety is a real issue. This, with all these crimes, over 260,000 with essays and all kind of major assaults and crimes taking place, it is going to kill the tourism environment in Houston, along with many of our other cities. Tell me what you think about this Houston scenario and the public safety throughout America.